happiness is important. Why? Why is happiness important? Why do we look? And these answers are like spot on. Happiness is an emotion, absolutely. It's also a characteristic of the mind, and it's an emotion and it's a mental state. Santosha, my cats, yes, Chandika. Cats are absolutely happiness. And santosha, which is contentment. It's definitely got a lot to do with contentment. But why does it matter? Why does happiness matter? Happiness matters because when we are unhappy, we are not well. When we are unhappy, we are suffering. When we are unhappy, we are more concerned with the condition of our suffering than we are with the condition of our overall life, if that makes sense. When we are suffering, we are more concerned with the discomfort that we feel than we do with the overall condition of the life that we are living. So it might be that somebody loses a job, and it's a very unfortunate thing. And perhaps that loss of a job brings a person into a state of deep suffering. They're very sad, they're scared, they don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so they become consumed by that fear. And as a result, they become shorter tempered. They become a bit pessimistic, doubtful maybe. They begin to lose faith in goodness in their own life, or just goodness, period. When we are in a state of suffering, we tend to lose faith in happiness. And when we start to lose faith in happiness, the only thing that's left is suffering. So it's important for us that we understand that happiness is a mental state. Happiness is an emotion. Happiness is contentment and peace, absolutely. And yes, I'll give it to you, Chandika, it's also cats. And happiness is what leads us toward a life of purpose. Suffering is the opposite. And the ancient sages knew this. The ancient sages knew that suffering led us away from purpose and happiness led us toward purpose. So let's look at a little bit of information about happiness. Happiness is, according to the dictionary, a subjective state of well-being, often described as experiencing joy, contentment, fulfillment, combined with a sense of life being good and meaningful, worthwhile, encompassing both positive emotions and life satisfaction. Some of the factors of happiness are positive emotions, so the ability for an individual to experience joy, amusement, hope, love, contentment, more often than they experience negative emotions like sadness and anger. There also has to be a degree of life satisfaction. There needs to be a certain amount of okayness. And that cognitive evaluation, that ability to just kind of look around, even if things are a little tough right now, and say, but overall, everything is good and worthwhile. And then eudaimonia, the sense of purpose, what we call in the tradition dharma, our purpose, our duty in this life, the meaning that we bring to life, the sense of flourishing. And that is discovered and rediscovered and created and co-created by way of the activities that we take part in, the condition of our relationships that we engage in, and the goals that we set for ourselves. And then finally, the fourth aspect of happiness is subjective well-being. So it's called SWB in the psychological field, a scientific term, which is the measure of life satisfaction and emotional balance by the individual themselves. So if I gave you a questionnaire right now, where would you sit in that questionnaire? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say your happiness is right now? Would you say your happiness is a 1, which means very low, a 10, which means as high as it can be, or somewhere in between? And what are the factors that play into that happiness? Relationships. Number one, right? Relationships. The way that we interact with one another. The way that we perceive the purpose of relationships. Strong connections, positive people, and not positive as in people wearing rose-colored glasses, but positive as in willing to be present, willing to listen, willing to learn, willing to just be, willing to grow. And people who are not violent. People who don't try to dismantle you, demean you, harm you in some way, shape, or form. Relationships with family and community and friends are critical to our happiness. If we surround ourselves with individuals who have ill will in their heart toward us, or ill will in general, then happiness is not going to be easily had. But if we surround ourselves with what we call in the tradition, like-minded community, in other words, a community of people who are looking for the same things that we're looking for, generally speaking, and they have kind of an idea, even if there's some differences there, about self-awareness and goodness and kindness and nonviolence and generosity. Those types of people are going to be the ones who support an environment where happiness can thrive. And even in moments where suffering is present, cultivating family, friends, and community of like-minded individuals even makes the suffering softer. And that's really important. That's really important. We're going to get to why in a few moments. Purpose and meaning are more factors that influence our experience of happiness. Feeling that your life has a significance to it, that it's not just an empty, purposeless chaos. And purpose and meaning, it's kind of interesting because I feel that as human beings, we kind of go back and forth on this. And some days we feel like we have great purpose, and other days we feel we have no purpose. But as spiritual beings, we're born with purpose. Purpose is our birthright. And according to the tradition, purpose, the purpose that we are all born with, there are a couple, but the main one is self-awareness. And in self-awareness, I don't mean the little s self, I mean the capital S self. So self-awareness is awareness of the soul of the self within you, which is the same soul of the self which is within all other beings everywhere. That's your main purpose in this life, is to come to self-awareness. The soul of the self within you, the soul of the self within all beings everywhere. And then related to that, the purpose of life is to come to know unity, to come to know oneness. And then the other purpose in life, so many purposes in life, but another purpose in life is because we are born into this world, this human created world, is to be of service in this world rather than a detriment. There's enough detriments in the world, we don't need to add more. Instead, your purpose, my purpose, is to show up in service. And again, I just want to remind you that this is kind of an overview of some of the things that we're going to talk about and go really deep into for the next 4 weeks. And some of it sounds really obvious, but I guarantee you that there are facets to each one of these factors that we're talking about, to happiness itself and to the psychology of yoga that you may not have thought of yet, that you may not have contemplated yet.